Hey everyone, we're back. We're looking at Laravel Spark. And before the break, I started this installation using the Spark installer I had installed previously, and as I expected, Spark, the repository, is hidden, and so the installer doesn't work. But that's fine, because I have a backup. Yay for backups! Now, just before the break, we added a new subscription plan. So if we go to the register page of this alpha version of the Spark that I've got running, we added this Spark special subscription thing, and it automatically added to the interface, which is pretty cool. We can click through to subscribe to this. What I do want to see is what this looks like when it bills, what the invoice looks like when it's generated. But for the life of me, I haven't organized any SMTP mail server settings, so probably not going to look at that now. What I am going to do is look at some other stuff of Spark. So what does this look like once you've created an account? I have done that a couple times, and so this is one of the accounts that I've created. It takes you from the home page. No, don't save that password. It takes you from the home page of Spark, which is this over here, to a /home thing, which is for the dashboard, which is kind of confusingly named. But you can change this quite easily. Well, I'm not sure if you can, if it's hard-coded in the vendor directory. Let's have a look. Spark provider. Tabs profile, probably not that. Let's see, routes / goes to Spark welcome. Okay, so you could okay, when you get home, then you go to the view home. So we could change this to something like dashboard, and then change this URL, and that should work. Yes, it does. Okay, fine. So that's where you would change the stuff. You would go to app, HTTP, routes, and just change this down here. You can also change what the default one loads. Now this loads a view within the Spark folder in vendor. And this does this. This loads the, wow, let's go to resources, views, home. Okay, so this loads the view from our resources views section. Now you may be wondering how you customize all of the views for Spark, because it's got quite a bit of design on it. If you, for instance, go to the settings section, there's quite a bit of JavaScript in it as well. When this loads, we'll see. So these tabs are controlled with Vue.js, and all of the validation on these forms is done with Vue.js. This menu, I think, is also powered by Vue.js components. So how do you customize that stuff? Well, you can, let's see, publish. You can run PHP artisan vendor publish. This Spark full means that it'll export all the views that Spark uses. So basically any view that Spark does, you can customize it. The alternative is basic, which just lets you customize the main views. But full will, what this vendor publish will do is it will take the views that are in vendor, Laravel, Spark, resources. It'll take this stuff and it'll put it into your app folder, resources, vendor, Spark, all this nonsense here. That's what that does. So by customizing these things over here, we can start to customize what Spark looks like. If we go back to that welcome page, I stopped the server. That's fine, I can restart it though. Those aren't the words to that song. Okay, so remember the welcome Spark : welcome gets loaded first. And so this is just a full static page. We can go down to somewhere here and maybe underneath the message and say hello world. Refresh this, Hello world. This is a customization I did before. It's not supposed to be sad, it's supposed to be happy or good experiences. I don't know. Whatever that was. Fun. I don't know. I changed this previously. It wasn't sad in the templates. Anyway, we can customize welcome.blade.php and start to see these results here. If we head over to the dashboard page, we can customize that as well. That's over here, home.blade.php. So we can say something like foo bar. And we'll be able to see that somewhere here with any luck. Will we? I don't know. Did it copy into here? Could this be where it's loading this from? Oh, it totally is. What happens if we delete this? That's interesting. So we would actually have to replace this file with this file's content in order to get changes in here reflected. Nah, it's not the end of the world, I don't think. Wow! I didn't go to the small view. That's kind of lame. Okay, so anyway. That's really lame. Okay, so vendor publish with the tag Spark full gives you all of these views within views vendor Spark, and then you can really mess around with them. You can get into the settings section, into each of these tabs, and customize the stuff that's in here. So for instance, we've got a couple fields here, name and email. We could add more text fields. There isn't a lot of documentation on the stuff at the moment, so for instance it's kind of difficult to know what field types are available here and what kind of you know, like what this stuff means. If you know more about Vue, you're probably going to get into Spark development a lot easier. I don't know that much about it, but the stuff that I have tried of Spark has been quite cool, so I'm not complaining. Right, what else is interesting to show about this? Apart from this big old error screen. The stuff that's set up for this is all the user auth stuff that you can find in a new Laravel app if you do the scaffolding. So registering an account, or rather logging in, resetting a password, the whole auth middleware is available. You can go to security through the views that are created here and change your password. You can enable two-factor authentication. Okay, Authy. Authy.com is a service by Twilio, I think. Basically, it is a two-factor authentication service. So, service thing that you create an account for. This is taking long to load. You create an account for, and then you create an application through Authy, and it'll generate a token, like the one that application I've created here called Spark Demo. So you put one of these keys into your environment config file, which looks like this. Authy key, you put it in here, and then users who've created an account through your Spark application can put their code and their phone number in here and enable two-factor authentication. And then in order to log in, they've got to download the Authy app on their phone and get an authentication code from there, and that will be presented on login. So this stuff is all set up for you. You basically just have to create an Authy account, create an app, get the key, and your users have two-factor authentication if they want it, which is awesome, I think. It's pretty easy to set up. That I did test out, and it works quite well. The rates for Authy, in case you're interested, you get 100 auths a month, I think it is. Let's have a look here. Account. Change. Where do you change your account? Lame. You can get 100 auths a month, I think it is, and for free. And the next plan up, you pay something like 0.09 US cents per auth. That does allow for your users to use the app, or to use SMS, or to use or to get phone calls if they want to do that, but they configure that separately with Authy. Anyway, you can change your password stuff. You can change your subscription type. So you can click change plan here and pick one of the other plans that you have. This one says feature 1, that's 3 features. You can change your details, but this is validated against Stripe's API. So users can't put in invalid details here. They can cancel their subscription. And yeah, I mean, extra stuff to go on the invoice. They can download previous invoices. What happens with this? Let's have a look what gets generated here. Okay, so that's generated an invoice. And what does that look like? Okay, so this is the stuff we saw in the Spark service provider. User's email and the date it was done. Invoice number, which looks like it's being validated to be unique. And I have a trial period on here, which is why there's 0 amount required for this. But the invoice stuff's all generated to PDF, which is pretty rad. And that's basically Spark. That's basically all there is to Spark. It's a set of pre-built things to create applications, subscription-based applications, really quickly. Installs on top of an already functioning Laravel application, but you can make a new Laravel application and install it immediately. It comes with user registration, authentication, password reset, 2-factor authentication already done. It connects to a Stripe account, which you configure in the env thing with the key and the secret. And you can see these things reflected, especially if you're running a test account on Stripe, you can see these reflected immediately through the dashboard when you test the registration on your system. So it's pretty awesome. The Taylor was saying on Twitter that it's going to support Braintree PayPal in addition to Stripe, which is pretty cool. There's probably going to be a ton of other features when the repo comes back up, which I'm really excited to check out. Other than that, there's not really much in addition to it being just a really fresh, well-built Laravel application. You still have all the framework API stuff that you're used to from Laravel. You have Cashier installed now as part of this. So if we head here to Laravel Cashier, this is what actually does the payment gateway stuff. So the traits that you add to a user to get it to be compatible with his billing come from Cashier. So you add that there. And I think you can, what is this base user? Okay. Why is that spelt incorrectly? Nah, just PHP Storm spelling stuff, man. Okay, so like a bunch of the stuff is hidden from the JSON export stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's really simple, but it handles subscription stuff very well from what I've managed to see. And I'm excited for what it looks like, what extra features it has when it comes back up. That's going to be really interesting, I think. And I don't know if it's going to be announced at Laracon. When's the next Laracon? Laracon US. I think it's quite a while ago, quite a while away, to be honest. Yeah, it's only in July. I'm sure this is going to be launched before then. I'm sure it's going to be launched before then. Because it's had quite a lot of activity recently. And the repository going away makes me think there is a launch imminent. So I guess we'll see. Okay. I'm going to take another break, a slightly shorter segment now because I've kind of run out of interesting things to see with Spark. But don't go away. I'll be back in just a few minutes. I'm going to stretch my legs for a bit.